And it looks like RP4 just took that match just as I switched over to this. So I was wrong. We're going to be tuning into that match next, possibly. We've got another one getting ready to brewing up right now. And BW Styles coming off a very strong victory last week against Luxray NYC, where he went through the Luxray gauntlet, if you will. He played every character Luxray in some way, shape, or form has touched, and finally came out on top in the reset of the bracket. But Solidus Hedgehog, aka Broski, has been having some solid matches for the past couple of weeks as well, wouldn't you say, Cherry?
I would definitely agree. I think that Solidus has kind of stepped up his game these past couple weeks. I know from personal experience, just he's been talking with me. We've been really trying to up his game in so many ways. Like the way I talk about the game versus the way a couple people like a bit lower of a skill level, I feel like has kind of changed a bit. I try to talk about the game in a much more like out of game experience with him, and I think that for Solidus, like, he's been truly trying to focus on like mentality, focusing on like neutral and like patterns and things like that, and like how to punish and things like that. And I think that for him, this matchup with BW Styles, I did mention this a couple tournaments ago, is still one of his harder matchups. He doesn't have a decent record against BW and is looking to improve that. I know Broski Solidus has been going to a couple other tournament series throughout the week to kind of hone his skills and just get more matches in, because I think the best way to get better at this game is to just go to tournaments. Regardless of the size or the type of like competition, you're going to find people that you either struggle with or just find matchups that you haven't gotten that chance to play yet, and that's huge because it's just only going to get you to improve more.
No, I say that all the time, and I know it doesn't necessarily always directly apply to Smash in the right way, but in a lot of the games that I would watch professionally to some degree, that was the real difference maker between the guys who traveled nationally and played a lot, was that you could see that their knowledge on gameplay and matchups was so vastly superior to their competition. You'd have a local guy who was pretty talented, but then you'd see that pro really kind of level up by, taking a look at and adapting to, his competition. But that's enough about talking about things esoterically. Let's get into the game that's happening right now.
Yeah, and it does not look like we're seeing the traditional PS2 start. I understand that for multiple reasons. I think that for Yoshi, this matchup is going to be super annoying when you don't have very many platforms to kind of move around, especially just the space in general. Yoshi, he's just kind of like, the pellets really distract Yoshi, and being a bit floaty, it can be really hard to land against somebody like Mega Man between his back air, his spike, his forward air, like all of these things, including pellets too, just to top it off, is just super damaging. And when you're piloted by BW Styles, who is the recent champion, like, it's gonna be really hard. So I think Solidus really has to show his A game, showing off some pretty decent damage here, has each other at about 114% each. Both of them are kind of just showing like, hey, like, we're both like ready to go. But that was really smooth coming from BW Styles, doing the saw into back air. And that was kind of just from the read that he got from Solidus, who we did see at the end of that. He tried to do something either at the beginning or the end of Sawblade that did end up getting him punished for it. And that's really why BW did decide to go for that back air. Because usually, like, just depending on what type of look you're getting from your opponent, you really don't want to necessarily go for that, because they'll either parry the shield or the saw blade or whatever. But that was a really good edge guard to stop the bleeding, as Solidus is at 66% there, possibly higher now, 76, with that sticky bomb. But look at him getting about 40% damage, 50. Was he gonna go? Goes for everything. Does not get the final edge guard. Ooh, rolls through. Really good stuff there. Gap attack from BW. Ooh, gets the juggles. Being patient. Oh, I thought that fair hit. Really close. And even then, like, that was a 65% deficit that Solidus had to make back, right? And already he's got him.
BW Styles at kill percent.
Yeah, and now he's got him. Yeah, that's impressive. Like, that's kind of something that I think that. Ooh. There it is, that up tilt. I think that's one thing that I can't necessarily say about BW anymore is that, ooh, that's scary, is that in the past, BW really, when he wasn't playing comfortable, did have a habit of throwing out that up tilt a bit too much, especially when he was like at a deficit. And we really have, like, I haven't seen him throw it out once this whole game until like this stock. That's twice now. But even then, like, there used to be times where, like, regardless of percent, like, if he was down or even just, like, at a high percent, you'd see him go for it, like, 3 times, 4 times in a row. And, wow, the armor from Yoshi tanking that spike, that might be Solidus's guardian angel in a sense, kind of saving himself there, being able to run right through it. And that's something that he definitely was aware of. He knew that he could kind of just do that at that percent, especially since, like, ooh, nice use of the saw blade, just thrown away and continues jabbing.
Yeah.
This is kind of a rough, ooh, back throws, does not go for anything else, but there it is. Solidus kind of overcommitting there in a situation that really was dire. I don't know if you saw it, we'll see it in the replay, but I'll try to speak quickly through it so that we can kind of get it as it happens. So, Solidus here was getting the ledge guarding information, gets reversed with that back air, and here we see him try to go through, gets the fair, continues that onslaught, and right as he gets reversed again from this back throw, we see him go for a B here. See that with his tongue? And he tries to command grab, suck BW off of the stage. And I'm sure BW is at least a little wary of that, seeing as how far back he was. And BW did go for the F smash instead, seeing what type of reaction Solidus gave you. And often that's kind of that's the best, but like very big brain thing to do in a lot of these situations with these players is that, like, that's kind of what separates BW from Solidus in a sense recently, is that BW has kind of adapted to the point where he is able to react like as things happen, and that's how he decides what types of moves he should be using, rather than anticipating something and kind of causing yourself to be guessing a whole lot more than you need to. And it's actually, that's a habit I have sometimes when I'm just not playing my best, is like, I'll just be guessing, or if I'm not sure like what I can kind of get away with against a character, like if I'm just unsure, like that's definitely a reason why you may start guessing. So the less you guess, you may feel that you're playing a bit slower, but that's only because, like, as you start doing that, you're going to be thinking a bit too much. But for Solidus, we are seeing him going to lose that stock rather fast. BW is trying to get through these as quick as possible, and definitely showing off. Ooh, nice tech there. Definitely showing off just, like, the overall adaptation that kind of goes in between these games, because, like, compare this to the beginning of last game 1. Like, we saw these players kind of go back and forth until about the 3rd or 2nd stock. And now this game, like, it's looking like a whole different ball game here with Solidus at about 46%, 60 now, 67, where BW is still racking up damage, still getting these small chip damage with this max rage that he has now. Knowing that he doesn't need to necessarily do anything too crazy, but now that he's got Yoshi at 115, he knows he can get that back air and kind of take that commanding lead. But finally, Solidus taking a stock. No 3 stocks here. Let's see. I wonder if Solidus will be able to kind of make the adaptations here. And not, like, even them, ooh, that's so unfortunate. Wasn't able to armor through that time. I think he canceled the double jump a bit early there, and that's kind of what caused him to get spiked that time.
Let's see.
I believe so. I may be wrong. Sometimes it may just depend on how close you are. Let's see. And this is also a thing. You saw him hit that saw blade earlier. Oh, yeah, he used up B. So he canceled it into up B, and that kind of punished him. And that's kind of another thing is, like, so BW, for his edge guarding, does go for that, like, down air a lot. And I think that that's kind of one of the reasons why is, like, it's a very big player habit to when you see somebody jumping at you or just jumping up in general, like if you're kind of higher, you're going to kind of react in a way that's going to make you try to throw out an option or just, like, do something to stop that from happening. Because you don't know what he's going to do until he does it, right?
True.
But for BW, he knows that he can kind of throw out that down air, and depending on what your action is, it could hurt you really bad. But we are seeing these two come back. BW versus RP4. This matchup has been happening more.
Got an update really quickly over from the other side here. So let's take a look at the bracket while we got a chance to, guys.